What happens when a 21-year-old tennis player from the Philippines walks into the US Open with a career-high ranking, a breakthrough WTA title, and an entire country watching her every move? For Alexandra Eala, this isn't just another Grand Slam. Every round in New York could change her ranking, push her closer to the world's elite, and write another historic chapter for Philippine tennis. And right now, the numbers are getting very interesting. The US Open is underway at Flushing Meadows in New York City, with the biggest names in tennis fighting for one of the most prestigious trophies in the sport. But alongside the established champions, one of the most fascinating stories belongs to Eala, the 21-year-old Filipina star whose rise has been one of the biggest breakthroughs of the 2026 season. For her fans, every match means more than simply a win or a loss. Every victory brings ranking points, every round creates a new opportunity, and every result could move her higher on the WTA leaderboard. So where could Alexandra Eala finish after the US Open? To understand that, we have to start with where she is right now. Eala entered the tournament ranked number 18 in the world, the highest ranking of her career. That number becomes even more impressive when you look back just 12 months. When she made her US Open main draw debut last year, she was ranked number 75. In only 1 year, she climbed 57 places. That isn't an ordinary rise. It is the kind of jump that immediately puts a young player on the radar of the entire tennis world. Her 2026 season has provided the foundation for that climb. Eala has put together a 38-20 win-loss record and captured her first WTA Tour singles title at the Mubadala City DC Open in Washington. That breakthrough victory helped launch her into the WTA Top 20 for the first time, and she didn't stop there. She followed her Washington title with a fourth-round run at Wimbledon and then reached the third round at the Cincinnati Open. Tournament after tournament, she kept collecting valuable ranking points and proving that her earlier success wasn't a one-time story. As of August 24th, Eala had 2,281 ranking points. She was just 13 points behind the player sitting at number 17, meaning the gap between her and the next position was incredibly small. That is what makes the US Open so fascinating for her supporters. One strong result can change everything. A first-round victory at the US Open is worth 70 ranking points. A second-round victory adds another 130 points. Go deeper, and the numbers rise quickly. A major run in New York could potentially push Eala firmly into the top 15 and put her even closer to the biggest names in women's tennis. And there is another reason this tournament represents such a huge opportunity. Eala has relatively little to defend from last year's US Open. In her Grand Slam main draw debut, she reached the second round and earned 70 points. Compared with tournaments where she has more significant results to protect, New York gives her room to gain ground. In simple terms, the better she performs, the more opportunity she has to climb. If she wins her opening match, she could move from number 18 toward number 17. A run into the third round would bring her closer to the players around number 16, including Diana Schneider, who entered the tournament with 2,468 points. A fourth-round appearance could put Eala right on the doorstep of the top 15, and then things get really interesting. A quarterfinal run would be another major milestone. A semifinal appearance would take her journey into completely new territory. And if she somehow goes all the way and wins the US Open, the 2,000 ranking points awarded to the champion could completely transform her position in the rankings and put a potential top 10 conversation on the table. Of course, none of that is guaranteed. The numbers show what is possible, not what is certain. And that distinction matters because the US Open is one of the toughest tournaments in the world. The draw is packed with elite players, and Eala's path to the later rounds is filled with potential challenges. To make a deep run, she will need to maintain the level that has carried her through the most important moments of her breakout season. There is also the physical side of the equation. Eala has already played 56 matches during the season, putting her among the busier players on tour. That's a lot of tennis, a lot of travel, and a lot of pressure on a 21-year-old athlete. She also experienced an injury scare during mixed doubles, meaning managing her body could become just as important as managing her opponents. Then there is New York itself. The US Open is a completely different animal. The crowds are loud, the atmosphere is intense. The energy around the grounds can be overwhelming. Every point can feel like a major moment, and the expectations surrounding Eala are now much greater than they were a year ago. But perhaps the most impressive part of her story is that pressure hasn't stopped her before. To understand why her current number 18 ranking means so much, you have to go back several years. In 2022, Eala made history by becoming the first Filipino player to win a junior Grand Slam title when she captured the US Open Girls Championship without dropping a set. That victory announced her potential, but at the time, nobody could know just how far the journey would eventually take her. Then came March 2025. Eala entered the Miami Open as a wildcard ranked number 140 in the world. Instead of simply gaining experience, she shocked the tennis world by reaching the semifinals. Along the way, she defeated then world number 5 Madison Keys and then world number 2 Iga Swiatek. That was the moment many people realized this wasn't just a promising young player. Eala could beat the very best. She later reached her first WTA Tour final at Eastbourne and won her first WTA 125 title in Guadalajara. Then 2026 arrived, and everything accelerated. Her first WTA Tour singles title in Washington became the breakthrough moment. She defeated a strong field that included Naomi Osaka and world number 3 Jessica Pegula, earning the biggest title of her career and moving into the WTA top 20. At Wimbledon, she went even further. Eala reached the 4th round and defeated Iga Swiatek along the way. That run made her the first Filipino player in the Open era to reach the second week of a Grand Slam, and suddenly, the ranking numbers started moving at an incredible pace. She began the year outside the top 50. By June, she had climbed to number 33. After her Washington triumph, she reached number 20. Now, heading into the US Open, she stands at a career-high number 18. That's not just improvement, that's a trajectory, but there is a bigger story behind those numbers. Eala is carrying the hopes of Filipino tennis fans who have watched her journey from a young age. She started playing tennis at just 4 years old, and her success has given an entire country a reason to believe that one of its own can compete at the highest level of the sport. She has spoken openly about the work that made these opportunities possible, saying, "I know that I wouldn't be having these experiences if I didn't do all the work that I did beforehand." That mindset says a lot about the player she has become. The ranking is important, but the person behind the ranking matters even more. Eala has handled an enormous amount of attention with maturity. She has embraced the responsibility of representing the Philippines while continuing to focus on improving her game. And now, the biggest test of the season is here. The US Open isn't simply another tournament on her schedule. It is the final Grand Slam of the year, the last major opportunity to make a massive move before the season winds down. For Filipino fans, every match now has an extra layer of meaning. They're not just watching a player compete, they're watching history unfold. Eala has already become the first Filipina to reach several major milestones in the modern game. She has won a WTA Tour title. She has defeated Grand Slam champions and Olympic gold medalists. She has climbed from outside the top 100 into the top 20. She has attracted enormous attention at tournaments around the world and helped put Philippine tennis firmly on the global map. And she is doing all of this at just 21 years old. That's why the ranking implications at the US Open are so exciting. A first-round victory could move her closer to number 17. A third-round run could put the next rankings within reach. A fourth-round appearance could bring the top 15 into focus. And if she makes a truly deep run, the conversation changes completely. But rankings are only one part of the story. The bigger question is whether Eala can continue turning opportunities into results. She has already shown that she belongs on the biggest courts. She has already beaten players who were once considered far beyond her reach. She has already proven that pressure can bring out the best in her rather than the worst. Now she gets another chance. The US Open is her next frontier. With the support of passionate Filipino fans, the backing of Nike, and the respect she has earned from some of the biggest names in tennis, Alexandra Eala enters New York with something every rising star dreams about: momentum. Maybe she climbs into the top 15. Maybe she goes even further. Maybe the numbers don't move as much as fans hope. Whatever happens, one thing is already clear. Alexandra Eala's rise is no longer a prediction about the future. It is happening right now. A year ago, she was ranked number 75 and making her first US Open main draw appearance. Today, she is a career-high number 18 player walking onto the biggest stage with the world watching. That is an extraordinary transformation in just 12 months. And the best part? At 21 years old, Alexandra Eala may still be nowhere near her ceiling. The Philippines is watching, tennis fans around the world are watching, and as the US Open continues, every match gives Eala another opportunity to climb, compete, and make history. She has already opened the door. Now, New York will find out just how far she can go.